If you are a frequent listener to the podcast, you know that we have been sponsored by Fuji Sports for quite some time now. Whether you're looking for apparel, equipment, bags, or accessories, Fuji Sports has got it covered. Go to fujisports.com to see the latest selection of everything you need for your jiu-jitsu, judo, or MMA journey. That's fujisports.com. Let me take a minute to tell you about RŌL TV. If you're looking to take your jiu-jitsu to the next level and supplement your BJJ education, then RŌL TV has you covered. RŌLAcademy.tv has over 1,500 videos covering individual techniques, positions, and concepts, including seminars and workshops with top-level competitors and instructors like Chris Wojcik, Robert Drysdale, Aaron Hurley, Emily Kwok, and more. Whether you are a beginner or a more advanced student, RŌL TV is the online platform that can take your jiu-jitsu to the next level. What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you haven't already, please hit the like, share, subscribe, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. This helps us bring you the great guests and amazing content that you've come to expect. On this episode, Thomas and his guests discuss traveling and experiencing jiu-jitsu around the world, how he caters to students who have different goals within the same class, the free-flowing nature of jiu-jitsu versus having a structured approach to instruction, what he finds frustrating in jiu-jitsu, and how his idea of academy growth differs from the norm. Here's the RŌL Radio with a comedian, CLA Coach, and the founder, co-owner, and head coach at Bodega Jiu-Jitsu in Maplewood, New Jersey, Kyvann Gonzalez.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we are live. How are you? How was your day?
Man, day's going really well. Just landed from Norway, which is exciting. Like we spoke a little bit. I'm feeling a little
jet lag.
Luckily not that jet lagged, but I'm like afraid. I feel like it's around the corner.
It's about to hit you, huh?
Yeah.
Do you like traveling?
I love traveling. I mean, I like traveling in like small, increments. I don't like being out for too long. I've been out for like 3 weeks.
Too long?
Yeah, like I think 3 weeks is too long. I think 2 weeks is like a sweet spot. Anything less than 5 days, it's like it feels like it doesn't even count. So yeah, I think 2 weeks is like really nice. But after that, you start missing your ritual, missing your like routine, missing your friends, stuff like that.
Are you a routine kind of guy?
I'm very routine. Yeah. I mean, believe it or not, mostly it's with like food, but I just like being in the same groove of things. Like I think at this point in my life, I just like waking up, having my espresso is like my first thing, having my food, getting my day on my laptop. And I didn't have any of those things when I was out. So that definitely, it wasn't a bad thing, but it just changes your day's dynamic.
The reason why I'm asking, because I have like this hate-love relationship with travel. Like I cannot sleep in not my bed. Like in hotels, even Airbnbs. Like I think that's like a little bit better because it's a little bit more home-like. Mm-hmm. But even then, it's like I keep tossing and I'm restless. And so I always ask for anybody who travels, like, what's your secret? Like how the hell do you do this? Because like I know some people who are literally like on the road 3-4 days out of the week, and I was like, that's nuts. I can't do that.
Well, I definitely use melatonin. Melatonin is like my best friend, but I'll tell you that. But I have no tricks. I think I like sleeping. Thankfully, usually isn't my issue. I pass out. I take lots of naps too. Like if I'm ever on the road and I'm like, I won't allow myself to be tired while traveling. Like I'll sleep for like an hour and then get after whatever I need to do. But yeah, thankfully I don't struggle with that. But I know a lot of people that do. I mean, I can say the only time I've really struggled with it was when I went to Thailand. And that was hard just because like it's a 12-hour difference.
12-hour
it just
shift.
Like flipped me on my head. That was pretty difficult. But even then, it felt like after a few days, I kind of acclimated. Yeah.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Seems like you got the recipe down.
Yeah, I'm just lucky. I think it's just in my like how my body works. Yeah.
Any country that you haven't been to, you want to?
Yeah, a bunch. I mean, I've been lucky enough to travel a little bit, but I really haven't been to that many places. Like I want to go to Brazil in November. That's somewhere I'm really excited to go. Japan, like I've had a layover there, which was cool. And I spent like like 10 hours or something there, but I want to be able to like really spend time in Japan. So I want to go to Japan. Those two are like the ones I'm really excited about, but I love just checking out any new place, new culture, and jiu-jitsu is always cool seeing it, how it's done in other places too.
Well, let me ask you this, because I've had many guests who do travel quite a bit, especially overseas in different countries and so on. And one of the challenging part is communication. And many of those countries don't speak English, or even if they do, it is not so smooth. And I mean, we both know that as visual jiu-jitsu is, there is an interpretation factor to all of this, right? Like we have to explain things specific way, especially reasoning why and so on. How do you deal with this?
You know, I guess I've been really lucky. I mean, I speak Spanish, so any Spanish-speaking country I can do. You know, I haven't been to a Portuguese-speaking, and like I was just in Norway, and everybody spoke English, so that was really fortunate. I've only been to places where either they speak English or I have someone who can translate for me. Like in Thailand, everybody spoke English. Like it was incredible. So, you know, I feel like you're asking me questions that should be difficult, and I'm somehow dodging bullets here because I'm getting really lucky. But I'm sure it'll come, and I don't know how that's gonna work out.
Well, do you find so let's pivot from that. Do you find jiu-jitsu teaching, instructing as a difficult task in general? Maybe not even for you, but in general, is that a complex task to overcome?
I mean, I want to say for sure, especially coaching the way we've been coaching. It just can be hard to design practice in a way to get the outcome that you want. So I think that can be difficult. For me, what's been most challenging is changing my perspective from a specific step-by-step technique and more of a skill that I want to convey that'll eventually allow for that technique to emerge. And I think that's been difficult. So it's super challenging. I'm not going to lie. Like I find it challenging, but I do it so often and so frequently that it becomes natural. Because I kind of like the challenge.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm with you there. I think there's a separate skill set that we have to kind of establish and build out, right? Many out there, especially students who are, you know, gaining some experience, and they are maybe midway into that journey of jiu-jitsu. They think about teaching. They think about, you know, tapping in and sharing their knowledge and so on. And then the moment we start teaching, we kind of learn that there are complexities behind all of this, right?
Sure. For sure.
What is the most challenging part for you as an instructor?
So this is semantics, but I feel like I've moved away from being an instructor and fallen more into this idea of like a coach. Because it feels like I produce I'm trying to put into words that isn't too lengthy. Basically, I put out one style of our training, like I design our practice, but then I have to cater it to each individual athlete, which is extremely different than I did before. Before it felt like copy and paste. Like, here's the move of the day. Everybody try to fit into this move of the day. Now it's like, hey, here's the task. Let's see what your body's capable of doing. Let's see how you focus on this. Let's see like the ways you're going to approach this, how you're feeling that day, your intention, as long as your intention's focused on what the task is. And that's person to person. That's extremely person to person, you know? And so dealing with that has been very different and very challenging.
Well, how do you deal with this? I mean, like visualizing this, you know, and I know some of these answers already, but I'm sure there's many out there who don't. Like you step into a room, let's just say 30 or 50 people. Like, how in the world are you catering towards 50 different individuals? I mean, that's impossible, is it?
It is. Yeah, for sure. It's impossible for sure. So I'm not doing that big of rooms. I mean, when I go to seminars, like this last seminar I did, I think was like 70, 75 on the mat. 140 had signed up, but we did smaller classes. In my gym, the max we have is like 22 people. And that's like packed, you know, so it feels very different. We're still in the beginning stages, which is something I'm worried about and been talking about moving forward. So just to be clear, it feels like I focus on the ones that are competing first. I'm not going to lie. Like whoever's competing, I probably give them the most feedback. And then what tends to happen in our room is those pockets of people will start spreading that information within each other. And so it's kind of a system where you have to have a group of guys who understand how we teach and what we're doing, and they can convey in their own words what they're trying to achieve in these tasks. So like, just to kind of recircle back to your question, let's say our first class, I would give let's just pick a standing game. We'll start them in an over-underhook position. The attacking player's job is to win by getting double underhooks. Defensive player, you can't escape the over-underhook position. You're just looking to defend from getting the second underhook in. Every time I get double underhooks, we'll switch who's ever attacking and defending. Just a very simple, just something so we have like a place to take off from. Like the way I would do it will look very different than someone who's long, someone who has a higher base than me, someone who's short. So a lot of times what I'll say is like, this is what I do because of my body type. And then I'll use examples of someone completely different body type and what I see them do. But I always try to explain what needs to be done, right? Like to get an underhook, your elbow has to move away from your body. So how can we make them either extend instead of retract their limbs? It changes person to person. Like you can get their hands to the mat, you can get their head low, you can move their wrist, which will in turn move their elbow. And so I always convey those things, the things that need to be done, but then I individualize it, or I try my best to individualize it person to person. I think it's also really important, just thinking on this track of like this line of thinking, that they have to train more than once a week for me to get to them, because they'll see the same problem quite often. We repeat a lot of these positions, and the practice design is made that way so that they don't engage with that task once. Like they would have to do it maybe 3-4 times in that week, and then I can change the group of people that I'm working with.
Is that challenging, getting people on a mat more than once a week?
So I feel like we are in this bubble because our culture's so focused on training, and like our biggest thing is efficiency. We use the most of that hour. When people don't come train, they feel the difference. They're like, man, that guy's getting good. And so our culture, because there's not many of us, we just hit close to 80 members, like just got to 80. So we're not a large school. So it's a small group of guys that they're like, no matter what, I'm making it 3 days. And then they kind of link up with each other. They're there those 3 days. Then there's the 4 days. Then there's the 5 days. And it feels like at a minimum, we only have like a few that maybe do 2 times a week. So for us, I think the culture, number one, it's fun. We're only 1 hour, like you're in and out. You know what I mean? You can come, train for an hour, get a great workout, exercise, learn jiu-jitsu, and leave. So I think it's become this culture of people pushing one another. Our guys, like I always talk about our community. They really egg you on to come to class.
Is that important, the community factor?
Oh, community. So it's funny. My business partner, Chaz, he's my best friend and my business partner. When I first came in, I was very much like the jiu-jitsu guy. Like I came from a really large school, pure mixed martial arts, and they're amazing, but they have a lot of students. There would be times where people would come up to me and they'd be like, dude, I trained with you for like 2 years. And I'd be like, I have no idea who you are. Like I've never, and not in a disrespectful way. I was just so many people that I didn't know. And so when I opened up my spot, I was like, struggling with this. I kind of still had that clock in, clock out mentality. So what I'm trying to say is it wasn't important to me because I came from a place that was already successful and their culture wasn't necessarily, because I'm not talking poorly about them. They're amazing, but it's just, for me as the instructor, I would just kind of clock in, clock out. My business partner, Chaz, immediately was like, dude, what's that guy's name? I was like, I have no idea. And he's like, you got to learn these guys' names. You see them every week. So now I make sure a habit to like learn everybody's name, use it, individualized practice. If I haven't talked to them or give them some feedback in a while, make sure that I do. So that's a small part as a coach that I play. But some things we do at the end of our beginner classes, we do a gratitude session. Like everybody say one thing you're grateful for, and you can't repeat answers. And it's shocking how much you get to learn about one another in that. We also do a lot of outings, like maybe at a beer garden or food or whatever. And so now in this, almost 2.5 years into the school, culture is almost, in my humble opinion, more important to keeping people in the gym, keeping people supporting one another. You have to invest in them to get invested in. So like I focus a lot on that.
Well, and many instructors say that culture is the core of every academy. Like if you don't have culture, it's going to fall apart. And I think in some sense, every academy has the culture, maybe not the one that they want or they what they are aiming for, but there's some kind of dynamic that is being developed in every place. But I'm actually curious, how do you deal with the situations where what you described a moment ago? The academy is so big that you simply don't know somebody. Like, I mean, great, 80 guys. I mean, I see a challenge remembering 80 names, especially when you don't teach all of the classes. But when you have 1,000 students,
Right.
I mean, how you
Right.
I look at academies like AOJ or Atos or even Gracie Baja or I don't know. I mean, throw any large affiliation.
Like Pure, I think hit like 600 members. So it's just 80 per class, not in total. Yeah.
Right. And if you teach, let's just say 2 or 3 classes a week, like you have multiple instructors, there's probably 40 or 50 classes a week. Like, how do you deal with this dynamic?
I mean, if I were to do it, like, which I'm hoping at someday to be at that level they're at, like I can't speak highly enough about them. So I want to make sure that everything I say isn't to belittle them. It's just maybe how I would approach it. Like for me, I think you need to have more than one instructor. I think it needs to be like 1 to 15, 20, one instructor to every 15, to every 15, 20 members. And then, so if there's like 80, you should have 3 to 4. And then what I think it becomes is like your instructor, you kind of start getting your relationship with that one instructor. And then the second thing that I think is really important about running a large school, which Chaz and I came from like this tech company for 10 years. And a big thing they had was how we communicate. And I think that's a big thing I took as well. Like, we have to do weekly meetings, where we talk about what we're doing with our guys and what our intentions are, what we're focusing on. And we don't allow that to kind of, to distance ourselves over time. So I think 2 things: you need one instructor per at least 15, 20 students. And then the second thing is you guys all need to be on the same page and we all have to talk to one another about what's going on. I don't think it's realistic to know 1,000 names, but I think it is more realistic to find a way to systemize your school so that you can make everybody feel a part of something.
Is the systemization an important part?
I think so. Like, because if you don't, like, maybe not systemized, right? Like, it doesn't need to be so structured to the T. In my opinion, systemizing something makes it easier, but I think it needs to be like, otherwise, if for example, I leave the school, like, and there's nothing set in stone for what needs to be occurring, it starts to feel different, like.
So let me challenge you on this a little bit, because I think this is like one of those big conversations in jiu-jitsu that, first of all, nobody wants to talk about. And the moment we start talking about it, everybody's bitching about things, right? So it's like from one side, we got like just 2 buckets. From one side is like, we don't want to be systemized. Nothing should be systemized. We should just kind of free flow. This should be fun. This should be just, kind of free engagement, if you will. And then from the other side, you have this extreme of systemization. And there are academies and affiliations who do that well on each side. Right? Yeah. It's like, how are you envisioning your place? Like, because you're just starting right now. So you have an ability to manipulate this, right?
Yeah. I love that, actually. That's a really good insight. I don't think that both can't be true. I don't think so. There needs to be 2 experiences: the instructor experience and then the athlete experience. I don't believe the athlete needs to know that they're being systemized. They don't need to be forced into one instructor. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They shouldn't walk into the scenario and be like, oh, like Carlos, that's my guy. No, it just needs to be our job to systemize, like, hey, I'm going to take these 20 people here today. And the athlete doesn't need to know anything about that. So I think it should be free flowing and fun. And it should just be an experience for the athlete or the student. But for the instructors, it's our job to make sure that we give them the best experience. So it needs to be systemized a little bit. Maybe I don't even necessarily align with systemized as much as I do structured. Mm-hmm. It needs to be structured on the instructor side, and it needs to not feel structured for the athlete side. And then the other end, everybody's different. Some people love that structured, systemized. Mm-hmm. Those people, you can be like, hey, this is what we have going on behind the curtains. But for the people who just want to train and have fun, they don't need to know about what we're doing, how we systemize our approach, kind of thing.
Are you envisioning this in a sense of, let's just say Bobby's teaching a class and Bobby's taking day off or going to the competition, and then Joey takes over and the class runs the same way? Or should the second person bring a different dynamic because, they're a different person?
Yeah, I think we're talking about 2 different things. Each person should have their own vibe. Each person should teach their own style. Like, that's what I love about jiu-jitsu. I never want them to feel like me. It goes against almost everything I believe. Like, make jiu-jitsu yours, right? So that, I think, but I meant it should feel the same for the athlete, in the sense of, we're going to start at this time. It's going to feel this way. We're going to get this many minutes of training. We're going to, that should feel the same for them, but not the what they're teaching or necessarily how they're teaching. Just, I want our experience. It would suck for someone to come to my class, and my class is like 50 minutes of an hour. We're working hard training. It's great. We all learn a lot. And then they go to another class and it's like 20 minutes of training.
Mm-hmm.
That I think is a gap that doesn't work. So, or I don't want, like at my space, I'm not going to have that.
So essentially, what you're describing is setting same expectations, right?
Yes,
so there's
exactly.
no surprises. Like,
Right.
I came for this, and it's like, what the hell is going on here?
Right.
Like, class is
exactly.
starting 20 minutes late, and that is a big one too, right? Like
For sure.
inconsistency with schedule, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's big for any academy, and
yes, and promptness for time is a big deal for us as the school, which I always struggled with. I was late to everything, and still am late to everything. But when it comes to teaching, I'm always on point with that.
Yeah. How come many?
I think it's really important.
How come many don't see it that way?
I think it's also like it's super culture driven, and I don't mean like your gym necessarily. Like if we go to Costa Rica, like which is where I'm from, like my family's from, in Costa Rica, they're taking their time to get to places. They're not in a rush for the next place, And so a lot of people say Brazilian time. Like in Brazil, it's the same vibe. Like, hey, let's meet up at 6. It doesn't mean we're starting at 6. You know what I mean?
7 p.m.
Like,
we are still talking.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's have coffee. Like, let's talk about and then we can train.
Yeah.
But that's just Brazilian culture.
Yeah.
That's just Costa Rican culture. That's just other cultures. But I'm in New Jersey, New York area. Like, that's not the vibe here.
No.
They're like, dude, I need to be out the door by 8:05. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, you wasted 20 of my minutes talking. Like, absolutely not. And I grew up here, so I get that. I align with both. I think there's a time and a place for both sides. And when I'm teaching in Costa Rica, like, I'm stress-free, like, we'll do it as you guys want. I'm here for it. But if I'm teaching here, just know, like, it's specific times. Like, we need you to get home to your family, to your kids, to your job, all those things.
Is that difficult for you in a sense of you are, for lack of a better term, free spirit in that sense? And then, this responsibility of delivering it for the client, because ultimately that's what we're doing, right? As an instructor or as a coach, we are here for them and we are not here for ourselves, right?
Yeah. It's not difficult for me specifically. I think I have a very branding mind. And so I'm very big on making sure we're selling the right product and the right service. And so I always I always try to materialize what I mean by that. I don't let things kind of just happen. Like everything we do, Bodega has its specific branding and its specific product, and our service should feel the same across the board. So like whenever I have an instructor, we have like outlines, like our framework for what we want a class to feel like, look like. You can make it your own, but make sure that you're hitting these numbers as far as like how much we're training, how many situations you're allowing for the class. So it's not difficult for me just because I think I have that mind to structure it that way.
Is it difficult for others to receive that information from you?
Yeah. But we only pick people that we know can receive that information. So like me and Chaz always say we're very weary of who we allow into our circle. We don't let anybody. You're great. We have people who are amazing at jiu-jitsu. You're not going to teach for us just because you're amazing. You know what I mean? Like, does everyone like being around you? Do you want to learn everybody's names? Are you on time? Are you structured? Are you making sure people are getting better? Or do you just want to like convey how good you are to them? Because that's not what we're here for.
Because it might be not many, but there are some out there who want to be the quote unquote coach or instructor for the sake of the title.
Yeah.
Have you seen that before? Like,
of course,
they just want the attention. They want to be in the center of of the room. They want to, be in that position, not necessarily carry their responsibilities.
No doubt. Yeah. And I think what I noticed the most is that people just want to show you how intelligent they feel. So like, oh, dude, I've had this problem. They're like, oh, you know what? I have 9 techniques that I can show you right now that'll solve your issue. And it's like, they just want to show you how much they know.
So let me ask you this. Is this the reason why a lot of guys at the first year or 2 want to teach their peers? Have you seen that before? Like, like white belt teaching white belt in a sense. You know what I mean? Like showing the dominance and intelligence.
I never put thought into that, but it makes sense, right? You want to show the new guy how much you've learned over the 6 months.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's something else that like, this is why I always say Bodega's in a bubble, because that doesn't happen in our school. Like our guys aren't teaching even if they've been there, I have guys that have been there from the beginning, they're not looking to teach you in the class. What they'll do is like instead of instruct, they'll coach you. Like, instead of being like, here's the answer, they'll be like, try something in another direction, move this way, try. And I love that about our culture, because it almost seems like they have this idea of like, because I say it all the time, I'm like, I'm not going to teach you how to do it because I don't know that I know how to do it. I'm going to tell you what needs to be done. And so, like, if the person up top, like, you know, quote unquote, me as the owner coach is saying, I'm taking the student mentality, I think it only residually happens to everybody else. Versus a lot of other schools, it's very different. It's like a hierarchy where they're like, I know all the answers. And so the next person's like, well, I know the answers because he taught me the answers. And then it just keeps going like that. And
But
ours, we flipped it on our head, you know?
Isn't that an error number one from a leadership perspective? Admitting the fact that you know everything? I mean, that's like the first lesson in leadership. You don't know everything. You need to surround yourself by people who are better than you.
Oh, yeah, of course. But now we're not even talking about, like, our jiu-jitsu is so stupid in that way, where people, like, once you get the black belt, they're like, dude, I know it all. And it's like, you know, I think that's starting to die more and more, that, you know, the internet is exposing liars, you know?
Yeah.
But when I started, it wasn't like that. It was like, oh, you have a question? You have to ask this person. Oh, you have an issue? Don't ask. I don't know. I'm just a blue belt. Ask this guy. Of course, that's an error of leadership. But, you know, it's kind of structured that way, where, like, black belts in a lot of formats are led to believe that they have the answer to all the problems.
That seems like setting ourselves for failure from the very beginning, in a sense of, it's almost like an oxymoron. Now I'm thinking about this. Like, from one sense, we do need these ranks or some kind of recognition point to separate individuals from their skill set or tenure or whatever, you know, however you want to separate this. But from the other side, you know, putting one at the top of the pyramid, it kind of creates this environment of know-it-all, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny you even said the pyramid. Like, I always use this example. We flip the pyramid on its head.
Yeah.
Like, the pyramid is like, you know, everyone leads to the leader. Mine's the opposite. You guys are running your training, and I'm just guiding you to help you decide what you want it to be. And so, like, that's something I find really valuable in our coaching. I never, ever say anymore. I used to. I'm not going to lie. Before coaching the way we do now, I used to always say, like, oh, that's wrong. You're doing that wrong. That's a bad habit. You're doing bad things. Now I don't say those things. I just say, you know, have you thought of this consequence? Have you thought of this outcome?
See, I love this. What you said, I think everybody should listen to, because I'm a huge proponent of this. Like, like in my classes, I always say there's no right or wrong. There's a consequence behind what you do. You need to reflect on what's going to happen next. And it could be positive or never negative consequence, but something will result in from your actions, right? And like, let's think about this, right? Because in jiu-jitsu in general, over decades, it's been proven that what one person said, it won't work. Somebody does it. I mean, how many times we watch the Worlds and you're like, wait, what? Rewind that shit. What the hell
100%.
just happened here?
100%.
Like, this shouldn't work, and yet he proved all of us wrong, right?
Yeah. Sorry, my Alexa just started talking back to me.
Oh, let's pull her in.
Yeah, 100% what you're saying. I align. It's funny because this used to be kind of not frowned upon, but this wasn't a conversation that was being had amongst most.
Oh, absolutely.
Now it feels like it's the standard, which is we're going in the right direction. I think now we just need to pick up our training methodologies to follow our mindset, because I want to just, this is very like preachy, but it's like, if we have this idea of like, I don't know the answers, blah, 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 why would I show a technique in a specific way to make people format or like to fold into my way of doing it if I'm starting with the premise that I don't know how it should be done? So a lot of our methodology really contradicts our thought process. And this is what I find ironic and sometimes frustrating in jiu-jitsu. You know, people are like, no, of course, I have no way to do it, but let me just use this one. And it's like, oh my goodness, it contradicts the whole thought process in a very humble way. And I'm not trying to attack anybody. I've really struggled with that dynamic. Like, if we believe that there is no specific way, or if the things can always be proven wrong and there's no right and wrong way, why would we show any way at all and not just show what needs to be done, how to focus their intention, and create those effects using our training, instead of giving them, let's say, A, B, C, and then hoping that they find A1, A2, A3, the moments in between those, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. You bring up a very, very valid point. A moment ago, you said, I might not have the answers.
Right.
For somebody who's coming into your academy.
Yeah.
What if they say, well, wait a minute. How can you coach me if you don't have the answers? I mean, that's a mentality that used to be very prominent, right?
For sure.
You come to a place to learn from the expert. Matter of the fact that oftentimes, even to this day, a black belt is being viewed as an expert.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
So, like, how you explain that?
Well, I mean, I always use examples. If they're brand new, I probably won't bring up Danaher. But if they've been there for a while, I'll be like, hey, Danaher's not training now, and he's implemented new systems, new techniques, coached the best in the world, and he's not rolling or training or doesn't know exactly how it needs to be done. He's just helping people systemize. But I also use other sports. Like, how many sports do you see the coach that's not even, like, for example, a female teaching a male-dominated sport? Like, how can we say she can't be a good coach? The skill of effectively coaching someone to an outcome is not the same as having the skills to create that outcome. And I think that's a big deal that people overlook. You know, like, being a skilled coach is not the same as being the skilled athlete. How many times have we seen the skilled athletes suck at coaching? That is like, you know, like that happens all the time.
Look, and I'll take this the opposite direction. How many times we've seen a sucky athlete who becomes a phenomenal coach?
Yes. Yeah. Even better analogy. Yeah, that's so true.
Right.
So true. Yeah. So and again, we're in a bubble because when they come in, we don't have those moments. Our classes aren't ever like, it's like, come in. All right. Within moments of you signing the waiver, you're physically moving and touching another body. And so the time for you to go, are you good enough to coach me? You're already recognizing how difficult the tasks are to do those things. So like, it's rare that we get those hiccups. In the traditional approach, a lot of times when you're taught to do, this is one of the issues, one of them, like when you're taught the technique, they'll be like, this wouldn't work if blah, blah, blah. Or like, I would never let them blah, 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 because they don't understand how the reactions work yet. But in ours, they don't have that moment of they don't have that chance. Everything's live. So they're just not accomplishing the task right away, or they are accomplishing the task and recognizing how difficult that is.
Where is all this coming from? Like, where's this all sourcing? Like, is that how you were born in your entire life, even pre-jiu-jitsu? You were thinking in those directions of really asking why and seeking the deeper conceptual, explanation to things? Or it was like aha moment and one day when you woke up and you're like, screw this, like this doesn't work, I need to change something?
That's a really good point. I think I always had the rebellious side. I always tell this story, but I started in skateboarding, and I actually see the parallel with skateboarding and jiu-jitsu. Really, really, they're very similar. It's almost like surfing and jiu-jitsu now. I just didn't surf. And it's like there's this freedom where you need to be very technical. And when you see someone very technical, you understand the work they put into it. But you want to also convey that it wasn't by just being a robot. It's by having fun and like distinguishing how you do things. And whenever you see a skater who's super technical but super boxy, you're like, that guy's kind of boring. But you see a skater who's super cool, stylish, even though they're doing a basic move, it was always really cool. And so I think my freedom and my creativity and all those things came from that. But the why question is an interesting one, which I never talked about. But when I was like 14 years old, I read this book by Brian Tracy, which was called No Excuses. And it's just a random thing. But the majority of the book talked about why we do things. And it didn't talk at all about how, like, it wasn't a book on money. It wasn't a book about how to make money. It was about why are you trying to make money? And it really resonated with me for a long time. And I always try to find the why. And then it kind of got reinforced by my job. I worked for Apple for 10 years, and Apple like is all about the why. Like they're like, we have great products, but why do they want our stuff? And it always, the why seems to be super valuable. So it always kind of like, I talked about this in Norway. I was like, why do you say os? Like anytime someone says os to me, os, I'm like, why do you say it? They're like, oh, because they say it. And I'm like, why do they say it? And they're like, I don't know. It's just like os.
It's just because you say it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, so you usually just say things, but not think about why? And then they start to question themselves. And I'm like, that's the point. Like question yourself, Yeah. Or like,
but that's what you want. But that's what you want as an instructor, as a coach.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You want that. Hold on. Like, how would I pinpoint this? Like that puzzled look. It's like,
You want to instill
why
that
did that
thought
happen?
process.
Like the epiphany moment, right? Like
yes.
the wheels are spinning, right? Because you can tell that. Like when you're looking at the room, it's like, this dude is thinking. He is, he's somewhere else. We lost that guy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I want that, like, for sure.
Is that why important in jiu-jitsu?
I think it's necessary, and anyone who's gotten a black belt understands, like, why did I keep going? Why did these moves work? Why do I do the things that I do? You start to recognize that quicker. I think something I find very valuable is self-awareness. You need to be self-aware of not only your body, but like your overall demeanor, your characteristics. The faster you can get to your awareness, your why, right? I think the better everything else becomes. Maybe that's not true, but like if you approach everything with a genuineness of you knowing what you're able to do, how you do it, you can progress versus like having either, it goes both ways. The people who don't believe they can do something versus the people who believe they can do everything.
Is that why when we get to the black belt level, and that's in most cases, we kind of go back and start redissecting everything, because now we have a deeper understanding of the situation and we want to get even deeper?
I think that's so beautiful. And like, for me personally, I know as soon as I got my black belt, there was this moment of like, wait, there's nothing next. I was like, wait, so, okay, I'm a black belt, but so is Tannen Dalbra, wait, I'm a black belt, but so is Buchecha. Wait a minute. Whoa, I need to go backwards. I know nothing. I was like, you start realizing like it's the beginning with no end in sight. And I think that's why, because you realize right away, you can't, like once you get to your black belt, in my opinion, you realize you're in an ocean, that there's no end in sight, and that you're very much on the lower end of that ocean,
I'm laughing because why are we so oblivious to this prior to that moment? And I think, short of you, everybody, literally almost every guest I had on the show literally says the same thing. It's like, I got my black belt, and it's just like this brick hits me. It's like, I don't have to be flying anymore, inverting or doing it. Like, I want to understand why this mechanically works. Why is this happening? Why I can fall here and here I can't. Why I have a base. Why gravity pulls me down. Like all these little things, right? Why I can underhook. How come our limbs work the same way? How come we have rotators and then we have, extenders. Right? Like, how come we are so stupid, for lack of a better term, prior to that moment?
I think it's like once you take away the dangling carrot, you know what I mean? You start going, wait, I got the carrot. Now what's attached to the string? Wait, where does the string go? Oh, you start realizing like there's no more chasing,
I like that analogy. I like that.
You start realizing like, wait, I got to the end of it. I also think for me, like it felt like black belt was like, you never know when it's coming. It felt almost unachievable. And once you get to brown, you're like, all right, I just have to keep coming.
Yeah.
But once you get it, you realize like no one cares anymore. Like, no one gives a shit. Like, I'm the black belt now.
Yeah.
Like,
It's almost like it's almost oxymoron. It almost like it's almost so like I don't want to sound disrespectful to anybody out there, because I think it takes a lot of work, effort, and enormous amount of time, and physically and mentally challenging. But I sometimes I feel like we are a little dumb, like prior to that moment, like we are looking for the shiny object. Like we get so distracted.
To be fair, like some things you said, like our gym, we're not wearing belts just because we're a no-gi only school. We don't wear ranked rash guards just because I thought that was corny. They can if they'd like it's not like we don't have any rules on that. But I think our belt system promotes that idea. There is a shiny thing, right? Keep coming to class. Here's a stripe.
Yeah.
If you don't do stripes, keep coming to class. Here's the next belt. Oh, you saw Ben got his belt now. Just keep coming. You'll get your belt. And then, so I think that incentivizes it. For us, like the number one reason we didn't do gi was because I hated it, right? Like I hated the gi. Not for any other reason other than it hurt my fingers. I felt like it slowed the game down. I don't know, whatever. That's just my personal opinion. I think it's fun for whoever likes it, like whatever. But that was number one. But the number two major reason was I don't want our guys to chase belts. I want them to chase skills. That's like in our mission statement, where like we're looking to just build skilled athletes. If they recognize that there's nothing next, like they're not focused on anything other than developing skill. And so our guys, like I use this story all the time. I gave a blue belt to this to one of our guys, Steve, and another one of our students who had been there for 6 months is like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, I just gave him his blue belt." He's like, well, "How do I get that?" I was like, "Oh, you just got to keep training." He's like, "What does it mean?" And I was like, "This is a great question." I was like, "You're asking good questions." Like, he didn't recognize that there was a next. He just loved what he was doing. Yeah. And I think that's something that I really like. Our bubble, I keep saying our bubble of Bodega. Mm-hmm. It creates this culture of like, they're not worried about coming to train because someone's going to get ahead of them. They're worried because that guy's going to beat the crap out of them. They're like, I just don't want to lose. They're not like, I want the next thing, So I always, last thing I always say to my guys too, like I've never gotten, because we're not wearing belts, they never go, "Dude, can I get my blue belt? Am I ready for my blue belt?" But whenever I do get that, and like I say this joke all the time, I say it to them, they're like, "Dude, what am I gonna do for you to give me my blue belt?" I'll be like, "Yo, here's your blue belt. Here you go." And they're like, "Oh, that's it?" I was like, "Yeah, you're a blue belt now. Go train with the blue belts. Like, go do your thing. Like, who cares? It doesn't suddenly make you a better grappler. It doesn't suddenly make you more in tune with what you need to be doing on the mat." And I think that immediately kind of wipes this like gloss off their eyes where they're like, "Oh, wait, he's just going to give it to me?" There's no value in the belt, because there isn't. The value is in your skills, in your dedication, in your energy, in your attitude. And so I use that joke all the time, and it seems to be working. So,
many would disagree with you.
So many. Yes, of course I do. I mean, yeah, that's what I love about our bubble. Like, you don't have to be in my bubble.
Where does this confidence come from? Like I asked you, where did the why come from? But I think this is more even about confidence and your ability to really believe in what you do as a person.
I think that's funny that you think it's confidence. I think for me, it's just
and I don't
like,
mean it in a negative way. I mean it in you believe in what you do.
Yeah, like I just don't think that what we're doing is creating people chasing the next thing. I think what I'm trying to do is make good grapplers. And if your culture is revolved around making good grapplers, your methodology, your systemized approach, everything should revolve around that. It shouldn't revolve around like, here's the next thing. If you're looking to just grow a big school and have grappling be the business that makes you money, go that route and you will be successful. Like there's no doubt there's tons of studies analyzing that if you give them the next, if you give them a star, a stripe.
Yep.
Of course. Yeah, of course. I'm fortunate enough to be at a point in my life right now where all I want to do is make good grapplers. That's all I want to do.
Are you saying that you don't care about size of your school?
For now, it's like I'm making enough money that I'm like, I can live. I was able to quit my job. I'm, paying rent. I'm doing seminars. And so I do care about my size of the school in the sense that I want to keep it small. Okay. I don't want it to be huge, because then it's going to be so hard for me to
that's why I asked that question, because I like from one side you saying that the intimacy of what you create is important. Two, you don't care about the ranking. That's not the focal point. You want to develop a skill and the deeper understanding of why things work. Yes. And then you deeply talk about community and chemistry within the group. All of that in some ways is counterproductive to large numbers, right? We talked about knowing your guys. You got 80 and you're struggling, and then if it's 1,000, obviously all this is going to just magnify as a problem or as a challenge, I should say, right?
Yeah, no doubt. One of the phrases we used in the beginning, we charge a little bit more than the schools around us, is like we kind of have a, just because of the area, when we use the word boutique training, like it's just, it's not cheap, but it's going to be individualized. Yeah. So you pay more, but you get more.
You get catered.
I think you're right. And we've been thinking about this more and more. I think the solution to that is, instead of having larger classes, is to have more classes. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be like where we'd go, where I'd have some coaches teaching like a 4, 5, 6, and then a 7, 8, and then that way you have 5. And so I think that's kind of the direction we would grow. Our school, like I said, right now is very small. Like it's a tiny mat space. And so we're definitely going to grow a little bit. And I'm sure, hopefully down the road, I'll get to a bigger one. But the idea behind, for me, the vision I always had, we call it Bodega, number one, because it's East Coast, New York, very Bodega everywhere. It's Latino. It's because there's more than one. And so, like, that's always been my idea. Small, catered grappling, best experience for an athlete. And there's going to be multiple of those with their own coach, their own version of what we're doing, versus one giant everything in one place, which I think is great. But again, like, it almost feels like a numbers game. Out of 1,000 students, how many of them are good?
Yeah. Well, it certainly is. It's not, I guess. It is. It is a numbers game. It always is a numbers game. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so I'm sure maybe down the road, like, that might happen. I'm very fortunate, and my goal and mission right now is just to do that.
So look, you work for Apple, one of the largest employers in the U.S. or around the world, I should say, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You used to be part of a large jiu-jitsu academy.
Yeah.
And now everything you're describing is almost opposite of that. Where's that come from? Is that a rebellious personality, or
you are asking some really good questions, stuff, because I never thought about that.
I never thought.
Look at me exposing my own why, but I guess once I really think about it, it's because I love the idea of being a part of such a large corporation or a large gym, because you get to touch so many lives. But then it felt like I wasn't making a difference in their lives, really. Maybe my group of guys. So I think a lot of it comes from me wanting to connect with people truly and like wholesomely, and actually connect with them, versus having these surface level. I don't want to perform anymore. I felt like I was performing. Like, it was like, all right, time to clock in. Here's like a giant group, and it's like a performance.
It felt like a job.
It felt like a job, and my job was a job, and I hated every second of it, where you're just like this piece in the system. I loved coaching at Pure. I meant my job at Pure, like, because I felt like I had my group of guys, and I loved the coaches. But there were so many people that I felt like I couldn't influence myself. So I think that's where it comes from, man. And like, what a really insightful question by you to make me think about that, because I never thought about that. Yeah, I'm almost running in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting how all this unfolds in even almost unintentional way, how our nature takes over and takes us in those directions to give us a meaning in life and really make it purposeful?
Yeah.
Let's pivot this a little bit.
Wow, that's a good dude. Thomas, that was good.
I try. Do you remember your first day
of jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
So like, yes, but it wasn't really a full first day of jiu-jitsu. My dad's a black belt as well. And my dad showed me jiu-jitsu when he learned some stuff. He was training, and he showed me in my backyard with my sister. So I take that as our first day.
Okay.
I'll never forget. Like,
how
my
old
sister,
were you?
I was 11. She was 8.
Okay.
I think 8.5. And she was better at the rear naked choke than me.
Okay.
And I just remember being really mad about that. But yeah, I remember that he showed us an arm bar and a rear naked choke, and like, he set everything up wrong. Like, it was like stuff like this, and like the arm bar was like wide knees and pulling up here and stuff. But it was like the first experience, and I remember just like spamming those moves on my friends, and I would spam them on my friends, and they'd be like, "Dude, this guy, like, he's a killer," and I'd be like, I have a superpower. But then I got really into skating and kind of left. I didn't like the discipline.
Oh.
Like, that was the whole big issue. I remember he's like, you got to wear this belt. You got to like bow. You got to say hi to the professor. And I hated all of it.
What year was this? Do you remember?
I'm 34 now. So that was like 23 years ago. So I guess like 2000.
So early 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah, probably like 1999.
So at that point, jiu-jitsu is pretty prominent. I mean, it's in 2000s.
I guess so.
It's growing slowly, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I in my world, I didn't know much about it, but you can definitely see that it was growing for sure.
Forgive my question, but is your dad still around? Or
yeah, my dad's still. Well, he's in Costa Rica now.
Okay.
He just he's running a school out there. We drifted away a little bit after he divorced my mom, just because he moved, but we still talk all the time.
Yeah.
But she's a huge influence in my humor, my personality, my life, my drive.
Yeah.
Him and my mother are like, the sole guiding light in that.
So that must feel very supportive in a sense of, one, your first day is, engaged or he planted the seed. I mean, essentially, right?
No doubt. Yeah. And so
have you thought about that?
Yeah.
What would happen if he never engaged you that day with your sister?
I talk about it all the time. I'm like, I forget where I was watching this video, but it was like your life was so determined by your parents, like whether you like it or not,
Yeah.
And it made me just think about when I have my kids, like how I'm going to try to plant certain seeds.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Like I wouldn't be who I am without my two parents, and not in the way you think either. Cause I think a lot of people get the support. I did everything I did in spite of them because they didn't want me. Like, they're like, yeah, do jiu-jitsu, it's fun, but get a real job. Do jiu-jitsu, it's fun, but like,
was that the message throughout your?
Yeah. My dad always, my dad worked as a mechanic. He worked 7 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. My mom worked 3 jobs. It was a banking and then 2 jobs cleaning banks after the bank. She worked from 8 a.m. to midnight, Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, my dad would have me work with him from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on cars, Saturday and Sunday. And every time we would do it, he'd be like, dude, look, I'm still doing jiu-jitsu because I like it. It's my freedom, but you need a real job. Like, you better study or you're going to be doing this stuff.
You know what I'm the conclusion that I'm coming to? You are true rebellion. Like,
rebel. Like, you have no idea from the beginning. My parents know.
You don't want big, you want small. Your parents tell you to get a job, you get jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, you have no idea. You have no idea. Yeah, like my mom was like, you got to go to school or you can't live in our home. And I was like, well, I can't. I have a job that doesn't pay enough yet. So I went to college, and in college we like did a jiu-jitsu club just because like I wanted to train in between classes. It was like, everything. I was like, I found a way around everything. Yeah.
Does your sister,
like, in hindsight,
does your sister do jiu-jitsu?
She doesn't. She did for a little bit. She had like this terrible, she's going to hate that I tell this story, but she tore her ACL. We were at, like, again, I was very rebellious. Okay. This is before Christ in my life. Okay. We were in high school and we were at a party and the cops came. And so we all like ran out the backyard and I was like, let's go over this fence. And I just remember her like jumping the fence, like flat-legged, and tore her ACL and had like 3 surgeries after that were botched. So I feel so bad.
I feel like I should get her on the show just to get the straight out of that story. What really happened?
She'd have a better podcast than me, guaranteed. My sister is the most interesting person.
But well, it sounds like your life is quite intriguing, to say the least. There's a lot going on under the hood, and we're just peeling off the onion right now. But all of the fun aside, has this been fulfilling journey for you since that first day when your dad, or what I should say, first day since your sister choked you, to now? I mean, it might be small still, but many would recognize as a point of success. I mean, first 2 years any business. I mean, it's huge. Most businesses go under within the first 2 years, and you have 80 students. You are successful. You can obviously there is a point of recognition that is due here. So
thank you.
Is this fulfilling to you, for you?
Yeah. I don't think I would do it. Like you said, I always have a why. I don't. Something my sister would always say. I don't do anything I don't want to do. Like, I don't. Anytime there's something I don't want to do, it's either because I love somebody so much that I'm doing it for them, like, come hang out with this guy. All right. Only because I love you and I'm going. I don't do anything I don't want to do. And the one thing I always did was jiu-jitsu. Like, as soon as I turned 18 and I realized I was on my own, no more school, I didn't have to rebel really. Jiu-jitsu was the one thing I always did. And so it's extremely fulfilling. And I felt that fulfillment from the moment, like, as a white belt, I felt it from learning something to applying it. And that felt like a fulfillment. Then from blue belt to purple belt, from being able to teach a white belt, I felt that fulfillment, to becoming almost like the guy in the gym, right? I was in a smaller gym when I started. Like, he's the guy. That was fulfilling. And so, like, teaching at purple belt, brown belt, black belt, it's always been like, I felt this longing to just want to be better and better at coaching, which in turn made me a better athlete. I love to compete just to show people, like, hey, even if you lose or win, like, just compete. Like, there's no downside. And that was fulfilling. For me, I think really it's just the tool or the vessel. Jiu-jitsu just became the vessel for me to, like, influence other people's lives the way it influenced mine.
Well, good for you. I mean, this is huge. I think a lot of people first hate their jobs, hate their lives. There's many people out there who train jiu-jitsu, but they are lost in terms of what to do next and how to do it. And there's a lot of passion behind everything that you do, and it just radiates. It's very visible.
Thanks.
With all of this.
Thank you.
So all of this goes on. Life is good, and you get your black belt. And I love asking these questions because this is such a personal and intimate experience, even though often unfolds in front of others. Did you know what was coming?
The black belt?
Yeah.
Not the day. No, not the day at all. The day it happened, I had no idea. I felt like I just knew that I was just going to keep going. So it didn't, like, at brown belt, especially at that point, like, I just trained every day, and like it was just what I wanted to do. It really wasn't for the next belt. I actually really liked competing as a brown belt against black belts because it felt like I had nothing to lose, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think I saw it coming. I just knew that, like, eventually would, especially at Pure, they're like a factory, dude. I think they're up to, like, I don't know how many black belts. So you just saw it. I was like, if you just see a dedicated, good energy, good vibe individual, like, they're going to get their black belt eventually. So I knew I would, but no, that day I didn't see coming.
Walk me through that day.
You know, I just remember getting it. Nothing before. It was just a normal day. I think
normal class.
I think I was
nothing.
Yeah, normal class. I think I was teaching, maybe not. Damn, I don't really. Oh no, I remember now. It was Christmas Eve open mat. So it's just like one of my favorite. Like the open mats at this gym are the best. Are the best. If you're in Jersey, it's great. And I was just there. It was like, you know, hundreds of people just rolling roll after roll after roll. I was with my buddy Quaylar. And then I just felt it on my back. And then at that moment, I was like, you know, everyone says this, but like I got nervous, number one, having to talk outside of something I feel expertise about. You know what I mean? Like jiu-jitsu, you feel pretty confident because you know what the outcome is. But when they were like, all right, give a speech, I had this speech in my mind for years. Wait a minute. None of it.
You had a speech prepared years in advance?
I visualized like, I've always dreamed about it, dude. Like I visualized like, you know, what I was going to say, like just the general, I was like, I'm going to thank this guy, thank this dude. I'm going to talk about my dad, and I'm going to thank Marcelo. I'm going to thank Johnny. I'm going to thank, and I'm going to talk about these hardships and all this. Like, it wasn't like I wrote it out, but I had this like guiding.
So what happened?
Dude, I watched back to this video and I get so embarrassed. Like, they're like, I was like, a lot of hard work. I was like, oh, so much work. And it's like nothing came out. I was like, thanks these guys, thank you. And I was like, and I was like, God, I wish I could go back and redo that video, man.
Good moment.
It was an amazing moment for me because it just validated my hard work. And again, like I got it before my dad, and everyone like with me ADD, I have this crazy like attention deficit. Like everywhere I do different things, I quit everything. And so my mom and my dad were like, this kid's never getting a black belt. So me getting it was like
the odds were against you.
For sure though. Like to be fair, I quit everything. I've worked every job under the sun just because like I get bored. Man. Like I went from like a chef to a waiter. But anyway, so when I got my black belt, it was very like, I did it. Like I'm here. Like I can do this, you know? And actually getting my black belt motivated me to finish my college degrees, and it started motivating me to realize I can accomplish things. And then since then it felt like it was just this wheel of like, you can do this, you can do that, you know?
What did your parents say?
My mom was like, you know, they don't give a shit. My dad was extremely proud, but my mom was like, hey, good job, you want to go get food? You know what I mean? Like,
did she understand? I guess the question is, does she understand the magnitude of what happened?
No, definitely not. But I don't blame her because like I took a lot of what's the word? Compartmentalized. I kind of make sure to keep my emotions and feel like anytime I won a big tournament, like, hey mom, I won, just because I know she wanted me to like, you know, be something professional. Like as a Costa Rican who just immigrated to America.
Do you think that you were protecting her from, in a sense of disappointment, you not following what she wanted to do?
Yeah, 100%. Like I just wanted her to see only like, I would always be like, hey, I got a good grade, or I'm going to this, or I'm grad like this. And I would always put that to the front. But then I would always say like, hey, she'd be like, where are you going every weekend? I'd be like in Boston or Cali competing. I'd be like, oh, I'm just going to do jiu-jitsu. And she's like, okay, you go have fun. Go do your jiu-jitsu, you know? And now that she saw like the school, she came to visit, she sees it materialize. She sees all the respect that individuals give me. She sees the opportunities. Like I was just in Costa Rica, Vegas, Norway. Now she's like, wow, like I didn't know this could, because for them, it feels like in Costa Rica, like one of the guys saying, I'm going to go play soccer professionally.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, come on.
Get real.
But it's because like they didn't realize, I don't think she understood how that could materialize here. To be fair, I didn't either. So it honestly was like a lucky surprise.
Yeah. What did your dad say?
My dad was just so proud of me. He like posted it everywhere. He's like, I think it also made him retrain, like get back to training, get his black belt later. He just called me. He's like, dude, I'm so proud of you. Like I knew since you were a blue belt that you were going to get black belt. Like the way you hyper fixated on this, you never fixated on anything else. And he was just so proud, and it felt really good. But at the same time, it was kind of in spite. And like a lot of the things I do are in spite, is rebellious to them. Like my dad was a mechanic, right? And one of the things he would always say is you have to learn to do this. You have to learn to do this. Because when you're older, you're not going to have the money to do that. Like you're going to have to fix these cars. He was trying to protect me, not in a malicious way. Like as an immigrant, like it was all protection. Yeah. But now like I don't fix a thing on my car. Not a thing. Like literally the other day, my tire went flat and I was like, I'm going to call AAA. And then it was like, we didn't have time. And I was with my girlfriend. I was like, all right, I got to take the tire. And I'm like, it's just changing a tire, but I did it very quickly and efficiently. And she was like, wait, how do you know how to do that? I was like, dude, like I can do all this crap. I just don't want to, Yeah. It was just like, I'm not fixing a thing, Do
you think, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think of more and more of those moments in my life, like cooking. My grandma always wanted me to cook. That's the one thing I always took just because I really loved my grandma. But like even today, I'm like, man, let's buy whatever we want to eat,
Do you think that stubbornness, this rebellious approach to life, this very, very hard-headed, for lack of a better term, and I don't mean this in a negative way.
No, like I mean this.
I mean this. I want to narrow this down.
My dad would say that.
Do you feel that those behaviors really allowed you to be successful as you find yourself today?
I think I'm very, 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 very lucky that I found a outlet that I was successful in.
Let me challenge you.
I don't know that it would work in, like, if you're a really rebellious waiter, I don't know that you're gonna go past
I would agree.
You know what I mean?
That would be a short-lived experience.
Yeah.
But let me challenge that. Is it the fact that you're very, very lucky, or is it the fact that those skills or those behaviors guided you to find jiu-jitsu?
I think it was a combination of luck and God, because I don't think I found jiu-jitsu at all. I think my dad put it on my plate. Like, it was in the background. I hated doing it from all the way through white belt. Like, I really did. It wasn't until like blue belt, like I said, like 18, 19, that I started doing it for real. So I genuinely believe it was like my family, like my dad, it was really my dad. It was really my dad, So yeah, I do think it was luck, and I don't think this is the right way to do it. I really don't. I'm very fortunate, and I always say this when people meet me, and the two words I use often are blessed and grateful, and they're like, "Dude, your life is just so great." I'm like, "Dude, you have no idea how much it took to get to this point, and how hard it was to get here." So every day feels like a blessing, and I'm always grateful.
Are you grateful? Or do you feel blessed?
Yeah. It's funny. Anytime someone says, "Hey, how you doing?" I would say, "I'm blessed. How are you doing?" It's like my thing. I think I'm extremely blessed. Like, to be able to wake up when I want, to do what I want, to do it where I want, with the people that I want, is not something I take for granted. And I don't think any black belt who has their own school does. Maybe like if you're years down the road, but I've never met a black belt with their own gym that isn't extremely grateful for the people that support them.
That is true.
I have people who come in day out, paying me money to teach them how to strangle people in a game that we like to do. It is it's such a blessing, and I'm extremely grateful. And like even you, like this opportunity to be on your podcast is not something I take for granted. Like it's always such a blessing for me. And you know, all the mistakes, I always say we make a lot of mistakes, but this ain't one of them, you know?
Well, good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
As I mentioned earlier, there's many people who hate their lives. There's many people who hate their jobs.
I'm aware
honestly,
of that.
Honestly, people use jiu-jitsu as a vehicle to get away from their lives.
Yeah. That was my mom and dad. So
yeah,
I get it.
And you know, finding ourselves in the opportunities of one, having conversations like this, having fun, you know, and sharing life, but also sharing this experience of jiu-jitsu with other people and impact so many out there, whether in person or online, is a blessing. And I think many underestimate that, and many don't appreciate the opportunities that we have. So good. I'm glad you do.
Thank you.
That one day when you're, I briefly asked you, but I want to ask you again specifically here. The one day when your dad asked you for your sister to choke you with a rear naked choke, and they're all kind of the seed that was planted. Where would you be if that day didn't occur?
Yeah, I think about this a lot. I think I'd be in film, video. I'd probably be like finding a way to film professional skateboarders. I went to school for film, and those dots connected later on, you know, like doing all my, I do a bunch of like silly videos. I do all the media for Bodega. Like I used to freelance like a lot of jiu-jitsu videos for people. I did like JT Torres's ADCC video for Flow a long time ago. So I think I'd be in film, but more specifically in probably like an extreme sport filming niche. Like I just really love that. It's not only rebellious, it's creative. I really like the creative aspect of skateboarding, inlining, dirt biking, BMXing, all that, mixed with that rebellious, like it's not easy to do. And I love film. So I think I would probably be in film.
Well, are you glad you're not?
Yes. Yeah. Everyone I've ever talked to in film hates it's not what you expect it to be at all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not, you're rarely creative. You're rarely your own boss there. So I'm very grateful that this is just another thing, man. Like that I'm just feel like is a blessing. I'm able to do film. I'm able to do videos for something I love that helps promote the thing that I'm trying to do. Yeah. It's like unreal. It's unreal, man. Like I just feel like God is so good in that sense.
You might be the lucky cat. You might be the lucky
Come on,
cat.
That's what I'm telling you. It's not in any way. It's not in any like yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. Well, listen, we've been at this for over an hour, and before we start wrapping this up, if anybody wants to connect with you, if anybody wants to, send you a message or maybe ask questions or maybe simply just connect as a follow-up to this conversation about your life and struggles and some of the successes that you've had to help them, where are you available? Are you websites, social media? Where are you at?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I have Kyvann G, which is my first name, G. That's for Instagram. I have a Patreon, which puts up every single class that I've done at Bodega. There's no secrets. I work with people individually. I help coach, and I'm really proud of it now. The more and more, I think I'm up to like close to 400 members now. And the more and more people come to it, the more value I see that I'm providing. So Patreon, it's Bodega Jiu-Jitsu Patreon. You can check out our YouTube too. There's not much on there, but I think we have a good following on there too. Excuse me. My TikTok is Kyvann JJ. So those are pretty much it. And of course, we run Bodega Jiu-Jitsu out of Maplewood, New Jersey. Come check out what we have going on. It's a very special room with a lot of special people. And I think you will recognize that as soon as you come experience it.
Well, and as always, I will put all the links in the show notes of this episode. So if you guys want to connect directly, feel free to just click on it and take you right there. And I think this is so interesting because, again, I think oftentimes we struggle with not being happy. Yeah. And I think you might be the prove them wrong here. It's through all of this. Through not listening to the very cookie cutter like recipe to life, you have proven that life can be fulfilling, life can be fun, life can be creative. And I think most important out of all of this, that you can really chase your dream, and the success is at reach. And for that, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for sharing the story. I want to congratulate you on your success. And I would imagine if within 2 years you cannot do this, within 20, this is going to be an empire. And I'll be sitting back on the sidelines and watching you continue growing as you do amazing things.
Well, thanks so much for saying that. And, I've done a lot of these podcasts and not many of them have dug into the conversation the way you have. So I want to applaud you for that, because that's not easy, especially with me. I'm very surface level. I don't like showing my inner colors. So I appreciate you. It was really great talking to you and getting to know you. And hopefully you can come visit someday too.
Oh, it's on my to-do list. So it's on my bucket list.
I appreciate you so much.
All right, let's wrap it up for today.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.